Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to my reading room. This is my home. This is where I spend most of my day, where I do my reading, my writing, every other thing. Um, I have my cup of coffee, I have my glass of water, my school laptop, and my personal laptop for backup. This is our makeshift studio for today. And I want to quickly go over the assignment that we have. Today we're going to be working on the persuasive essay. We're going to be writing the fourth one. We've worked on three already, and we're going to be talking about the fourth one. Today's topic, today's prompt is: some people have argued that parents of students who bully others in school should be made to pay a fine. Some people have argued that parents of school bullies should be made to pay a fine. Remember, the thing with the persuasive essay is that you have to take a position and then you bring arguments to justify that position, to defend that position. I'm going to be introducing one new thing today that we haven't focused on a lot, and that is what is called the hook. Hook, think about fishing. Some of you might have gone fishing and so you have the experience, others might not, but I assume that everybody somehow has a connection to fishing. Either you've watched a movie with people fishing, your friends have told you about fishing. In order to catch fish, the person going fishing has to bait, that has to attract fish to that hook, to that thing that he or she uses to reel in the fish. That thing, that sharp thing that hooks in the fish's mouth is called the hook. We use that analogy in writing to say that when you start writing, you can also write some very interesting thing at the beginning that will hook, that will capture the attention of the person reading, and the person will want to read to find out more. Think again about the topic. Some people have argued that parents of school bullies should be made to pay a fine. Think about it for a moment. What do you think? And before you tell us what you think, you should then think about that hook, that interesting sentence that you're going to make. Let me give you three simple examples, two simple ones and one really dramatic one. You can start with a simple sentence like, bullying is one of the biggest forms of violence in US schools. That is a fact. Nobody's arguing that. But it's an interesting statement coming from you. If I read that, I'll be like, what does this student want to tell me? Then I'll read to find out more. Or you can say something like, bullying is a widespread phenomenon in US schools. That too is a fact. It's like what they call an open secret. We all know that it happens in US schools, but you just stated it there. And so the person is going to be like, the student probably has a point to make, so I'll read to find out more. That's the hook. You're arousing that person's, you're awakening their interest in finding out more. But you can also be a little bit more dramatic, right? Think about this. Bullying is a real cancer in US high schools today. Listen to that. Bullying is a real cancer in US high schools today. Remember when we studied metaphors? And metaphor is a kind of comparison where you say one thing is another thing. So when we say cancer and metaphor, and we say metaphor is a cancer, what do we know about cancer? Because for there to be comparison, there must be similarities. We know that cancer is this deadly disease, right? All scientists and doctors and anybody who has real brains is trying to figure out how to do away, how to destroy, how to eradicate cancer, because it's that much of a killer. So when you say that bullying is cancer, you say bullying is very, very bad. Nobody wants it, and there should be a way of eradicating, of eliminating it, of doing away with it in our society. So you see, if you were reading, which of those sentences would attract your attention more? The first two or the third one? For me, I know the third one would attract my attention. So feel free to use any of those three sentences to start your essay. That's okay. So you start with this interesting sentence, sorry. The next thing is take a clear position. What is the problem? Bullying in schools and parents being made to pay a fine. It's time for you to take a position. Do you agree or don't you agree? It has to be clear, unequivocal. No, there should be no confusion like, where does the student stand? It has to be that clear. So you can make a sentence if you are for the fact, if you support the fact that parents should be made to pay a fine. You could make a statement like, I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly, completely agree with people who think that parents of bullies should be forced to pay a price for their children's behavior. Wholeheartedly, completely. There's no and if so, but no sitting on the fence. So we know where you are. Or if you don't think that parents should be made to pay that fine, you can say something like, while bullying can have severe problems for the victims, I totally disagree with those who think or those who argue that parents of such bullies should be made to pay a fine. Again, you acknowledge that bullying is bad, but you just disagree about how to go about fixing bullying. So it's not like you're going to say, oh no, bullying is no problem. It is a problem. So you need to be able to separate those two. Yes, you agree that it's a problem, but you don't think parents should pay that price. So again, feel free to use any of these two statements in your essay. Now, what's the next thing to do? For those of you who can remember, come on. After you've taken your position, what's the next thing? You got it. 3 arguments. You have to make 3 arguments. You have to introduce 3 arguments. When you are introducing an argument, you're not going to say because so. Just say first reason is this one, the second reason is this one, and the third reason is this one, and move on. Think about introduction. Think about introducing a friend. You're walking down the street with this friend, and then you meet this other friend of yours that you haven't met in a while and who hasn't met your friend. How are you going to introduce them? Are you going to start talking about when this person was born, where they... No, you're simply going to say, hey, meet my friend X, meet my friend Z. Simple. When you get to know yourself well later on, then you can give that information about where he comes from, what he does, and why he's here, and what he likes and what he doesn't like. That is like the body of the essay. But at this point, we're talking just about the introduction. So you just make those points without giving any specific justifications. And then the final thing you have to do is you have to give a little conclusion for this paragraph. Every paragraph has a conclusion. But the conclusion in the introduction is a transition. It tells the reader that you're going to go on and then develop those points. So you can make a simple statement like, in the following essay, I'll develop these points to try to justify, to try to prove, or to try to defend my position, why, and then you explain what you said at the beginning. So let's go back and think. 1, read again, interpret. Then you write your first sentence, the interesting sentence. The second one, you take a position, a clear position. The third, fourth, and fifth sentences contain your 3 arguments you're going to make. And then you have the 6th, maybe 6th and 7th if you like, but the 6th sentence will be a transition to the rest of the essay. For today, you're only going to write 1 paragraph of 6 to 8 sentences. That's all the work you're doing for this class period, just 1. In order to facilitate things where you might not have the facts at your fingertips, I've included 2 sources. One is a .edu source and the other one is a .gov. Remember, we've discussed and we've studied credible sources, credible websites. And we know that .edu, .gov are credible because they're government funded and they're education related. So they have a lot more factual information than what you get from many of the sites on your computer. So you might read one or both of these studies just to help give you some ideas. You might read any other study, but I expect just 1 paragraph. But I want you to write the topic at the top and then write it. write that your one paragraph. Next class, we're going to do other things, but for today, that's all we're going to do. Please, I would like this work to be done by Friday, just so that I can go through. I have all my classes will be doing the same thing. That's a lot of reading, right? And the main areas are going to act as the rubric. So I'm going to look for a good, interesting topic, taking a position, 3 arguments you're going to make, and a concluding sentence. So each of those is going to act like the rubric. That's what I'm going to be looking for. If you have questions, guys, boys and girls, you know where to meet me. You know where to get me. You can text me. Please don't call me when I'm eating, and don't call me when I'm sleeping. I won't hear you. But I'm going to be around my phone, and I'm going to try to upload this to Google Classroom to help you with your work. All right? Tata.